The Mic Pro is Insta360's new flagship wireless microphone system and has some genuinely unique features. It has 3 microphones that provide 4 different pickup patterns, can internally record 32-bit float stereo audio, features a fully customizable e-ink display, and connects directly to compatible Insta360 cameras without needing a receiver. But are those features actually useful, and should you buy it instead of something like the DJI Mic 3? I've been testing it over the past few weeks, and in this video I'll share everything you need to know. So let's take a closer look. This is one of my favourite features. Most wireless microphones like this have a single omnidirectional microphone that captures sound from all directions. The Mic Pro, however, has a 3-mic array, 1 microphone on the top and 2 on the sides. Working together, these provide 4 different pickup patterns, making it far more versatile than a typical wireless mic. There's a standard omnidirectional mode, which captures sound all around you and is ideal when you want to preserve the ambience of a scene. I have the Insta360 Mic Pro on top of the Ace Pro 2. I've got the full surround wind muff on. The microphone is set to omnidirectional mode. I'm around 1 metre in front of the camera. As I move around the camera, you should still be able to hear me quite clearly. Towards the back of the camera, I'm around the other side of the camera, and then back in front of the camera about 1 metre away. That's omnidirectional mode. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Then there's cardioid, which focuses mainly on sound in front of the microphone, making it ideal for podcasts and talking head videos like this. This is cardioid mode. I'm around 1 metre in front of the camera. This is half a metre in front of the camera. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Again, 1 metre in front of the camera. As I move around the camera, you still hear me, but not quite as clearly. Around the back of the camera, the side of the camera again, and then half a metre in front of the camera, 1 metre in front of the camera. Testing, 1, 2, 3. This is cardioid mode. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Figure 8 captures sound from the front and rear while reducing sound from the sides, making it useful for 2-person interviews or when using the transmitter as an on-camera microphone. The microphone is set to figure 8 mode. I'm around 1 metre in front of the camera. As I move towards the side of the camera, you won't be able to hear me very well. But as I move towards the back of the camera, I'm now just less than 1 metre behind the camera. You should be able to hear me clearly. Testing, 1, 2, 3. As I come to the side of the camera, not so well. And again, I'm 1 metre in front of the camera. This is figure 8 mode. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. That's figure 8 mode on the Insta360 Mic Pro. Finally, there's super directional, which behaves much like a shotgun microphone, focusing on sound directly in front while reducing unwanted background noise from elsewhere. I've set the microphone to super directional mode. I'm in front of the camera around 1 metre away, 1.5 metres away, 2 metres away, 2.5 metres away, 3 metres away. I'll come back to around 1.5 metres away from the camera. As I move to the side, you shouldn't be able to hear me so well. So it's quite a tight arc that it can actually pick up from. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. This is the microphone on top of the Ace Pro 2. As I move around to the side of the camera, you won't be able to hear me hardly at all. I'm around the back of the camera, around the side of the camera again. And then as I move towards the front of the camera, you should be able to pick me up clearly. This doesn't sound like the most exciting feature of a microphone, and it really deserves a less intimidating name. But it's a feature I use every single time I record. It's invaluable. The Mic Pro can record 32-bit float audio directly to its 32GB of internal storage. A 32-bit float recording has an enormous dynamic range, making it extremely difficult to clip your audio. For example, someone suddenly shouting, laughing loudly, or there's an unexpected loud noise. Recording internally also protects you against wireless interference or even a complete loss of connection to the receiver. In fact, if you're happy to do a few seconds of post-processing, you don't even need to use the receiver. You can simply sync the internal recording with your camera or phone audio afterwards. Thanks to its 3 microphone array, the Mic Pro can also record 32-bit float stereo audio internally. I'm not aware of any other wireless microphone that can internally record 32-bit float stereo. Whilst you'll probably use mono for speech, stereo is ideal for recording ambience, live music, nature or ASMR, effectively turning the Mic Pro into a compact stereo field recorder as well as a wireless microphone. In mono, you'll get almost 45 hours of recording time, or around 22 hours in stereo. That's more than enough for most people. Personally, I enable loop recording, so once the memory is full, it simply overwrites the oldest recordings. As I'm regularly copying recordings to my computer, I've never come close to losing anything important. There is one limitation though. You have to choose whether the internal recording is saved as raw or processed with features such as noise reduction, voice presets and other audio processing. If you're recording in stereo, only the raw file can be saved. I'm perfectly happy recording raw, but I'd still like Insta360 to add the option of recording both a raw and a processed file at the same time, just like the DJI Mic 3. That way you'd have the convenience of a ready-to-use processed recording while still keeping the untouched raw file as a backup. If you don't want to rely entirely on 32-bit float, you can also enable one of the two auto gain control modes. Prevent audio clipping reduces sudden loud sounds before they distort, while dynamic audio gain smooths out changes in volume as people speak. It's another useful layer of protection alongside the internal recording. This might not sound like a big deal, but I actually think it's one of the Mic Pro's biggest advantages over the DJI Mic 3. The transmitter has a built-in USB-C port, which gives you three really useful benefits. Firstly, you can simply plug it into the computer with any USB-C cable to copy your internal recordings. There's no need for a charging case or an app to get your files off. Secondly, you can charge the transmitter directly using the same USB-C cable. It also supports fast charging with just 5 minutes of charge, providing up to 2 hours of recording. If you're only using the transmitter with an Insta360 camera, you don't even need the charging case. Finally, you can connect an external lav microphone using Insta360's optional USB-C to 3.5mm adapter, which is included with their lavalier microphone. That gives you a more discreet setup when you don't want the transmitter visible on camera, while still benefiting from all the Mic Pro's internal recording and processing features. For me, USB-C makes the Mic Pro much more flexible than the DJI Mic 3. It's easier to charge, easier to transfer recordings, and gives you the option of using an external lav mic when you want a more discreet setup. Most wireless microphones have some form of built-in noise reduction, but I usually leave it switched off and deal with any background noise later in post-production. That's because it often makes voices sound artificial or over-processed. The Mic Pro, however, has a dedicated AI processor for noise reduction, which sounds like marketing fluff, but it genuinely works. It does an excellent job of reducing wind, traffic and other background noise while still keeping voices sounding natural. Rather than me try to describe it, have a listen for yourself. This is the noise cancellation test. I've got the microphone just on my shirt here, about 4 or 5 inches from my mouth. I've set the pickup to omnidirectional, so it's picking up sound all around. And I've got a portable air conditioner running in full mode. It's quite a noisy portable air conditioning unit. And I've got noise cancellation off. If I double tap the button, now the noise cancellation has been turned on in strong mode, and it should almost completely cut out the noise from the portable air conditioner unit. So again, this is me talking, testing 1, 2, 3 with the noise cancellation turned on, and I'm going to turn it off again. So I've got the noise cancellation turned off, the portable air conditioner unit running in the background. You should be able to hear it. If I then turn the noise cancellation back on into strong mode, it should almost completely cut out the portable air conditioner noise, and my voice should sound pretty much the same. I'll now show how it works in weak mode. So I've cycled through to weak mode on the receiver. So now when I double press the power button, I'll switch between off and weak noise cancellation. So again, you should be able to hear the air conditioning unit. If I double tap here, I go into noise cancellation weak mode. That still should cut out a lot of the portable air conditioner noise, but I still find my voice is about the same whether I turn on strong or weak, and strong noise cancellation almost completely cuts out the air conditioner in the background. But at least you can hear and see if you can tell any difference between the weak noise cancellation, which I've got on now. I'm going to turn that off, and that's with the weak noise cancellation off, and then you can compare it to how the strong noise cancellation sounded when I just tested that beforehand. In my testing, it's the best noise reduction I've heard on a wireless microphone. As well as AI noise reduction, the Mic Pro also includes 3 voice tone presets: standard, rich and bright. This is recording using the standard voice preset. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Today is a bright sunny day, and I'm recording with the Insta360 Mic Pro. This is the rich voice preset. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Today is a bright sunny day, and I'm recording with the Insta360 Mic Pro. And finally, this is the bright voice preset. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Today is a bright sunny day, and I'm recording with the Insta360 Mic Pro. Personally, I prefer the standard preset because it sounds the most natural to my ears, but it's useful having the choice depending on your voice or the type of content you're recording. If you're only using the Mic Pro with one of the compatible Insta360 cameras, which I'll come to shortly, then you may only need the transmitter. However, if you're connecting to a mirrorless camera, want the longest wireless range, or need to use multiple transmitters together, then you'll need the receiver. The Insta360 Mic Pro is available in several different configurations. You can buy the transmitters on their own, a single transmitter with a receiver, or the standard kit with two transmitters, a receiver and the charging case that I have here. The receiver includes a USB-C adapter and a 3.5mm camera cable, so it can be used with smartphones, computers and mirrorless cameras. Typically you'll mount it on your camera's hot shoe and connect the supplied 3.5mm cable to your camera's microphone input. There's also a cold shoe mount on top of the receiver, allowing you to mount one of the transmitters using its clip so it can double as a compact on-camera shotgun microphone. On my Panasonic mirrorless camera, I found the supplied cable only just reaches, so a slightly longer cable would have been nice. If you buy one of the receiver kits, the transmitters come pre-paired to the receiver. If you've got the charging case, they'll automatically power on when you remove them. Otherwise, simply switch them on using their power buttons. Each transmitter has its own live audio meter on the receiver's bright touchscreen. Tap the audio meter to jump straight to the transmitter's quick settings, where you can start or stop internal recordings, mute the microphone, or change the noise reduction settings. Swipe up from the bottom of the screen to quickly configure all transmitters together. Swipe down from the top to access the full settings menu, where you can configure both the receiver and the transmitters in more detail. Alongside the touchscreen is a control wheel, making it quick and intuitive to navigate the menus and adjust settings. The receiver also supports some really useful advanced workflows. It can connect to up to 4 transmitters, allowing you to record up to 4 people with a single receiver. With 2 transmitters, you can record them as a stereo pair, keeping each microphone on its own channel for much greater flexibility during editing. If you're using 4 transmitters, the Mic Pro can even output quadraphonic 4-channel audio, although you'll need compatible hardware and editing software to take full advantage of it. Alternatively, switch it into multi-receiver mode, and 2 transmitters can send audio to up to 4 receivers. For example, here I'm sending audio from 2 transmitters to one receiver connected to my mirrorless camera and another connected to my iPhone. Both devices receive the same audio, making it ideal for multi-camera productions. For even more advanced workflows, the receiver also supports timecode synchronization, making it much easier to line up audio and video across multiple cameras in post-production. As well as the extra features, the receiver also gives you a significant increase in wireless range. Insta360 quote a maximum range of 400 meters, although that's under ideal conditions with a clear line of sight. I found a large stretch of open moorland near me to put that claim to the test. I had the receiver attached to the hot shoe of my Panasonic camera facing the transmitter and connected with a 3.5mm cable. As you see now, I'm going to walk back towards the camera now. I was over 320 meters away then. When I get to that little tree in the middle of the frame here, which you can see on my iPhone camera, that's the 300 meters away. And I'm just going to come back into line of sight reception, so I'm hoping that will now pick me up at 300 meters as I walk back towards the camera. So about 280 meters away now. I managed a maximum distance of around 300 meters, but only when I was facing the receiver. As soon as I turned around and my body came between the transmitter and receiver, the signal dropped much sooner. Okay, I'm going to start walking towards the tree in the distance. Every 50 meters or so, I'll be using this rangefinder to see how far away I am. You can still hear me as I walk away from the camera, but you have my back facing the camera, so it's very possible we'll lose reception quite quickly. That's fairly typical of wireless systems, as your body can block the signal, but it's worth bearing in mind if you're filming yourself walking away from the camera. In practice, I think that's more than enough range for the vast majority of filming situations. More importantly, it gives you a healthy safety margin, so even if you're only filming tens of meters away with a few minor obstructions, you're much more likely to maintain a reliable connection. If you're worried about signal dropouts, you can configure the transmitter to automatically start its internal recording when the signal becomes weak. Personally though, I just leave internal recording enabled all the time. I'd like to see at least the option for internal recording to start automatically when you power on the transmitter, as it does with the DJI mic. Even better would be the ability to automatically start internal recording when you begin recording on the camera, just as it already does when connected directly to a compatible Insta360 camera, although I appreciate this may not be possible when using the receiver. One of the cleverest features of the Mic Pro is that even without the receiver, the transmitter can connect directly to compatible Insta360 cameras, including the Ace Pro 2, X5, X4A, Go Ultra and Luna. Pairing is simple, just press the power button 3 times to enter pairing mode. Then select the microphone under Bluetooth headphones and microphones. This is on the Ace Pro 2, the exact menu varies slightly depending on the camera. Once paired, the transmitter will automatically reconnect whenever you turn the camera on. If you've paired it with multiple compatible Insta360 cameras, it'll automatically reconnect to whichever camera it was connected to most recently. Once connected, a live audio level meter appears on screen, making it easy to monitor your recording. Although it uses Bluetooth, in my testing the audio quality was directly comparable to using the receiver. Rather than connecting as a standard Bluetooth headset using the HFP profile, compatible Insta360 cameras use a Bluetooth SPP protocol to carry Insta360's proprietary 48 kHz direct audio stream, similar in concept to DJI's Osmo audio technology. The result is high quality digital audio without needing a receiver, cables or adapters, making for a much simpler setup than the rather cumbersome microphone solutions we had before the Mic Air was introduced. You can also configure the transmitter directly from the camera, which I actually found slightly more intuitive than using the receiver. As I mentioned earlier, it also supports automatically starting the internal recording with the camera, which isn't currently available when using the receiver. One thing I did notice though is that any transmitter settings you change on the camera are remembered if you connect to another compatible Insta360 camera, but those settings aren't shared with the receiver. I confirmed with Insta360 that this is the expected behaviour, although they have passed on my suggestion to synchronise these settings in a future firmware update. For now though, I'd recommend making sure your camera and receiver settings match to avoid any surprises. The trade-off with a direct audio connection is range. In my testing, the direct Bluetooth connection was reliable to around 30 meters with a clear line of sight. But as soon as my body came between the transmitter and camera, the connection dropped much sooner. Here I'm 30 meters away from the camera. This seems to be the absolute limit recording with the built-in receiver on the Ace Pro 2 and the Insta360 Mic Pro. If I walk any further, I lose reception and the video stops recording, which I haven't quite worked out what the issue there is. But 30 meters is the limit. I'm just checking. Yes, I'm pretty much exactly 30 meters. So as I walk towards the camera, I'm probably about 25 meters now. And I'm recording internally on the microphone itself, 32-bit float stereo, and there is a little bit of wind. So you'll see, even if I turn around here, I may well lose reception and it'll stop recording. No, it has actually carried on, but it doesn't seem to like anything in the way. Currently, you also can't use multiple transmitters in this mode. So if you need to connect 2 or more people, you'll still need the receiver. That's something Insta360 could potentially add in a future firmware update. Of course, you can still use the receiver with compatible Insta360 cameras via the USB-C port, if you prefer, giving you the benefit of much longer wireless range and support for multiple transmitters. The receiver also worked perfectly with my DJI Action 5, but not with my GoPro Hero 13. To use it with the Hero 13, you'll need either the GoPro Media mod or the GoPro 3.5mm mic adapter connected using the supplied 3.5mm cable. One other handy feature on some Insta360 cameras is dual audio, which lets you record using both the wireless microphone and the camera's built-in microphones at the same time. This can be useful for capturing ambient sounds close to the camera while recording yourself some distance away with the wireless microphone. Just be aware that this feature does require some post-processing either in the Insta360 app or your video editor of choice. By default, Windows, for example, simply plays back the mixed audio, so to take full advantage of dual audio, you'll need to open the recording in the Insta360 app or your editor, where you can separately adjust, mix or switch between the camera and wireless microphone recordings. What you'll probably notice first about the Insta360 Mic Pro transmitters is their e-ink display. It's fully customizable, allowing you to either make the microphone stand out or blend into your clothing. Because it uses e-ink technology, the display only consumes power when you actually change the image. Customizing it is really straightforward using the Insta360 app. You can choose from the Insta360's own designs, upload your own, or even convert photos into dithered e-ink graphics. I like choosing a solid colour that closely matches my shirt, making the microphone much less noticeable. For my talking head videos, I generally don't want the microphone to stand out, so I'll either use a lavalier microphone or simply match the display to whatever I'm wearing. If you do want it to stand out though, you can get quite creative. I've even seen people display a QR code so that someone at a conference or trade show can simply scan the microphone to access your website, business card or contact details. So should you buy the Insta360 Mic Pro? There is very little to fault with this microphone. It has pretty much every feature you could think of needing, and even a few you probably wouldn't. With that level of functionality though, comes a little complexity. There are a lot of settings, and whilst it's easy enough to get everything configured when you first set it up, if you come back to it a month later, it's easy to forget where everything is. I'd like to see Insta360 include a few recommended profiles or presets for common recording scenarios. Another criticism I've seen in other reviews is that it's quite heavy and large. I don't think that's a major issue. It's actually still lighter than the DJI Mic 2 that I've been using for years. It can pull on a light t-shirt slightly, but a magnetic neck mount or an external lav mic solves that easily. For thicker clothing, you can simply slide on the supply clip and attach it directly without needing the magnetic mount. Comparing with its main competitor, the DJI Mic 3, I think DJI's main advantages are that it's a little smaller and lighter, it's slightly cheaper, and it can record both raw and processed internal recordings at the same time. On the other hand, the Mic Pro's 3 microphone array gives you directional pickup modes that the DJI doesn't offer, and the built-in USB-C port lets you connect an external lav mic. The Mic Air still might be the better choice if you want the cheapest, smallest and simplest microphone to use with your Insta360 camera. But if you want a far more capable microphone system, the Mic Pro is the one I'd choose. The audio quality is excellent, the AI noise reduction is the best I've tested, and features like built-in 32-bit float recording, receiver support for mirrorless cameras, directional pickup modes and internal stereo recording make it very versatile. If you're already in the Insta360 ecosystem, it's an easy recommendation. But even if you're simply looking for a premium wireless microphone system for your mirrorless camera, I think this is one of the best options you can buy right now. If you have any questions or comments about the Mic Pro, leave them down below. I read every comment and reply to as many as I can. I'll also include links in the description if you want more information, the latest pricing and any discount codes that are available. If you use those links, it really helps support the channel at no additional cost to you. If you found this video useful, please consider subscribing so you don't miss any future videos on the latest technology. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.